went 6-10, and we ain't smell the playoffs. Then it gets even better when your team makes the playoffs.
Wrong!
Who else could it be? Me, your man, Louis T. Welcome to NFC Championship overtime. Rams, Saints, the 2-seeded Rams taking on the number 1 overall seed in the NFC, the New Orleans Saints, in the Dome. What an epic thriller this was. I know a lot of people are going to talk about the end of this game and the non-call and then the call in overtime, but I'll tell you what, man. What a game. Congratulations to the Rams. Sean McVay, that's my guy. I'm excited to see him make it to his first Super Bowl in his second year as head coach. I told the Rams fans when they got this guy that they had themselves a rare commodity and a crown jewel, and that he was going to take their franchise to new heights. I didn't expect it to be this quick. I'd be lying to you if I said I thought it would be in year 2 that he would have this Rams franchise in the Super Bowl, but can't just give him all the credit. You got to give credit to Thomas Dimitroff and some of the other guys, or Demoff, excuse me, in that front office, and all of the moves, Les Snead and company. What they've done with this roster and the way they've done it has put them in a position to strike now while the iron was hot, and while Jared Goff is still on this rookie deal. And this was an amazing turnaround. Just think about where the Rams were 2 years ago to where they are now, and to think that they're going to Super Bowl 53 after an epic thriller on the road versus the Saints. I talked about teams in rematch games in this postseason finding ways to get it done. I was wrong. I thought the Saints would get it done in this game, and a lot of people are going to talk about that non-call at the end. And look, that was pass interference. There's no doubt about it. There is no way that you can omit that call, and there's no way that this game isn't drastically different if that call is made. But there were other points in this game that the Rams or the Saints had opportunities to win before then. We'll talk about all of the different intricacies of this football game as the Rams get it done in overtime, 26-23, to advance to Super Bowl 53, where they will await the winner of our doubleheader matchup in the AFC and that championship game between the Patriots and the Chiefs. What a win. What a game. Let's get to the keys to the game quickly so we can get to your comments on how we got to this outcome of 26-23. So we get to the keys to the game, and you look at it from the Rams standpoint, party crashers, got to get pressure on Drew Brees. I talked about Brees celebrating his 40th birthday on, I think it was Monday, Tuesday, somewhere like that. Saw him dancing, having fun. And I said, you gotta crash the party. You got to be party crashers. You got to get to Drew Brees, and you got to make him uncomfortable. And the biggest play of the game, Dante Fowler Jr., spinning back inside, getting to Brees, hitting him as he's trying to throw the football. Ball goes sputtering into the air, picked off by safety John Johnson. The biggest play of the game by far and away. Again, if you're excluding the non-call, that is the biggest play of the game. And so they got to Drew Brees on this afternoon, especially when it counted most. And that's why they were able to get the 26-23 victory. Biggie Smalls. Todd Gurley isn't right. That's apparent. The guy barely played in this football game. He had 2 drops early in the football game, so he wasn't a factor in the receiving game. He wasn't a factor on the ground. C.J. Anderson took most of the carries. He wasn't a factor. Again, the Saints have one of the best rush defenses in football. You saw why again tonight in this game. They were stout against the run, and that was a non-factor on the ground. Jared Goff essentially had to do this by himself, along with the defense and the special teams. There was no help from the run game whatsoever in this football game. Highly efficient Goffense. The run game wasn't efficient, but Jared Goff himself was quite efficient in this football game. Didn't make the back-breaking mistake. Did have an interception, but that wasn't his fault. We all know Gurley had that go through his hands on that opening possession of the game. And so if you're the Rams, you're very happy with what you got out of Jared Goff in this football game. I thought he stepped up. There were some pressure-packed moments, including overtime, where he got pressure in his face immediately off of bootleg and he found a way to get it to the receiver, and that was a big play. If he takes a sack there, they're not kicking that 57-yard field goal to go to the Super Bowl, and they're probably going to end up punting that football away. So that's a huge play by Jared Goff, and the offense was very efficient. Big plays by Cooks. The catch before halftime was a massive play. They were down 13-3, and they looked like they were out of it. And that was a big play before the half to get him into the end zone on a couple plays later by Gurley. And then you had all guys step up. And I talked about this. I said, you're going to need some of the tight ends to step up. Well, Gerald Everett had a very solid game. So did Tyler Higbee. You had contributions from Reynolds and others. I told you you're going to need everybody to step up, all hands on deck. You got that highly efficient offense. You got that tonight. Better guard Mike. You did in this football game. Michael Thomas was a non-factor, and I've said this numerous times. If you're going to hold down the Saints, your best way to do that is to stop Michael Thomas. Yeah, Kamara may get you, and he did in the past game tonight. Kamara had 11 receptions for almost 100 yards, but you'll take that versus Michael Thomas having 11 receptions because his is going to be north of 100 yards, I guarantee. Or like the last time these two teams played, 12 for 2 and some change. You had to stop Michael Thomas. They couldn't guard Mike last time. They did guard Mike this time, and that's part of the reason they're moving on to the Super Bowl in Atlanta. And finally, this is the biggest key to victory of the game. Limit mistakes, but be aggressive. They limited their mistakes. They had the one interception early. Okay, Gurley made a mistake there. Need to catch that football. He didn't. But the defense responded and forced a field goal. That's huge. You give up a touchdown there. It's 10-0. The crowd is going nuts. You could find yourself in an avalanche-type situation. Instead, the defense rises to the occasion, holds them to a field goal. It's only 6-0. Damage control played by the Rams there. And then you look at the game. The fake field goal, huge play. You're down in this game 13, I believe it's 13-0 at that point, and you fake a punt, not a field goal, fake a punt, and Johnny Hekker has been fantastic at this throughout the duration of his career. Ballsy call by Sean McVay and John Fossil to make that call, and it proved to be a huge play because they went down, ended up getting a field goal, and that settled them down in this football game. So, again, be aggressive, but I told them, don't be over-aggressive, and they weren't. I thought it was the right call by Sean McVay to kick the field goal to tie the game up. You do not want to put yourself in a position there where you go for the touchdown, you don't get it, and the Saints are able to pick up 2 first downs and end the game there. I thought it was the right call. I know a lot of people were going to second-guess him on that if they lost this game. I love the call to kick the field goal. Give your defense a chance, who has played exceptional football all day long, to get you a stop and get you the football back with the chance to win, and they ultimately got a chance to win this football game in overtime, and that they did. So, again, love the call there. I thought they were perfect in that situation. They weren't over-aggressive, but they were aggressive enough to give them a chance on the road in a hostile environment to win the football game. So, really, 4 out of the 5 keys to victory the Rams checked off, and that's how you win in the playoffs. You got to check off these keys. Meanwhile, you go to the keys to the game for the Saints. Easy breezy, beautiful Saints. Oh, no. They didn't have any rushing attack whatsoever. Michael Thomas was a non-factor in this game. Because of no Benjamin Watson, you needed somebody to step up at the tight end position. Dan Arnold wasn't able to do that. Had a chance to catch a touchdown on the first possession. It wasn't able to come down with it. You didn't get the production you needed out of this offense in this football game. And I had a Saints fan basically come on and say, in the comment section, say, hey, everyone wants to get pressure on Breeze every single week. But nobody's able to do it. The Saints are going to roll in the dome 41-21. And I'm like, bro, what are you watching? All right, that's what I thought when I saw the comment, because in my mind, when's the last time the Saints offense looked like they did pre-Dallas game? They haven't looked the same after Dallas tightened their ass up on a Thursday night. They haven't looked the same. They haven't been that explosive, dynamic offense. They're barely winning football games. It's more defense than offense right now. And you needed the offense to show up in this game, and they frankly did not show up in this game. They did not show up. Back-to-back, I thought the running backs needed to have a big game, both of them. I said if one had a game but the other didn't, I still thought it would not be enough. And you had a big game from Kamara in the receiving game. 11 catches, I think 97 yards, something like that. Wasn't enough because you didn't get anything from Ingram in the ground game. Only 8 carries for Ingram. I thought they didn't run it enough, but again, it's the ebb and the flow of the game. It's easy to say that in hindsight that you didn't run it enough. Bottom line is it wasn't enough from their running backs in this football game. Killer Mike has been huge for them all year, but this is what the Saints were afraid of. They knew that this was a possibility that someone could take Mike Thomas out of the game and they wouldn't have another guy to step up and make plays. That's why they went out and got Dez Bryant. That's why they were sniffing around Brandon Marshall. That's why they were looking for another option. And unfortunately for them, Ted Ginn Jr. came back, made a big play down the field, put them in a position to try to win this football game. They were only able to come away with 3. We know about the controversial call. I know we're going to talk about that in the comment section. But there wasn't another guy out there that really struck fear into your heart. And unfortunately for them, Michael Thomas wasn't a factor in this game. Credit the Rams for taking him away for the most part in this football game. No Hamburglar surprise. I thought they did a great job of stopping the run game. Gurley was pretty much a non-factor because he wasn't right. And then you factor in C.J. Anderson and what they were able to do against him on the ground, and I'd say that they took care of business there. No Hamburglar surprises in this game. Saints took care of business on the ground, which they've done all season long with their rush defense. And finally, pass rush is a must. I didn't think you got enough pressure on Jared Goff in this football game. Credit Goff. There were some times he stared down the gun barrel, took a shot, and delivered the football, but there weren't enough times where there was pressure on Goff. The man completed 26 of 40, and a couple of those were drops in this game for right around 300 yards passing. I think he was right around 297, something like that, 291. It just wasn't enough. It wasn't enough pass rush in this game. You even tried to dial up some blitzes, and they weren't able to hit home. Credit, again, the Rams offense for being sharp in this game and making enough plays to get it done. They started out rough, did the Rams offensively. That first half was ugly, especially the first quarter. But the second half, especially the fourth quarter, Jared Goff, those final 3 drives or 2 drives of the game, he was magnificent. 7 of 7, 120 yards. There was a touchdown pass in there, a touchdown run, something like that. I mean, he was exceptional, gave him a shot to win. So you look at the Rams or the Saints and their keys to victory. You didn't get the first one done. You didn't get the second one done. You didn't get the third one done. You got the fourth one done, but you didn't get the fifth one done. So 1 out of 5, that'll get you a loss just about every single time. You had opportunities in this game. And speaking of such, let's get to a quick synopsis of this game, and then we'll get back to you guys' comments. So basically, this is how I feel about the game. I look at this game, and it's a game of opportunity, and I felt like the Saints didn't take advantage of their opportunities. And I know we're going to hear a lot about people talking about the non-call, and yes, that was a major missed call by the officiating crew. However, I'm trying to tell you that you can't allow, just like boxing, you can't allow the game to come down to the officiating because you know that this type of thing can happen. So this is these are 2 of the biggest opportunities squandered by the Saints in this game. Obviously, the first one is the pick by Demario Davis that set you up inside the 20-yard line, 1st and 10, with a chance to score a touchdown. You already got a field goal in the first possession of the game. Let's start there. Dan Arnold with a drop in the end zone. Now, I know that's not the easiest catch in the world to make, but he has to make it. If it hits you in both hands, you got to find a way to catch that football. So that's a missed opportunity. Instead of 7, you get 3. Then, right after that possession, you get a gift from Todd Gurley into the arms of Demario Davis. You got great field position. All you need to do is find a way to get in the end zone. Instead, you settle for a field goal. That's another 4 points off the scoreboard. So that's 8 points squandered in your first 2 possessions because you didn't take advantage of opportunities. All right? In a game that you wind up losing by 3 in overtime. You miss one of those opportunities is converted into a touchdown. You win the football game. But, again, didn't take advantage of opportunities. And then finally, there was a great defensive stop by the Saints. They forced a punt. They even gave up an additional 5 yards on an offsides penalty. Still got great field position. They're inside of Rams territory when they start the possession, and they go 3 and out, actually go backwards and have to punt the football. Had a holding penalty on 1st down, knocked them back, and they had to end up punting the football. Wasted opportunity. At least get a field goal out of that possession, and you probably win this football game. Again, squandered opportunities by the Saints in this game is the reason they lost. I didn't like the way that they handled the clock late in the game. I thought that they should have run it on 1st down. They threw it. It was incomplete. That allowed the Rams to be able to hold on to one of their timeouts. Sean Payton did a poor job of trying to ice the kicker. If you're going to ice the kicker, you make sure that they get as close as they can to snapping that football before you call it, much like the Eagles did against the Bears. That way, the kicker actually goes through the motion of kicking the football. You want him to kick it. You want it to go in, so you play those mind games with him. Greg Zuerlein never moved because he knew what was going on, and Peyton called those timeouts way too early. Bottom line is, you made too many mistakes in this game. You missed too many opportunities. And then, of course, the interception on the opening drive of overtime. Those are all factors going into why you lost this game. I know the officiating at the very end, they got to make that play. I'm not going to sit here and debate that. They have to make that call. Even in real time, that looked like PI. There's no excuse for that. However, you had opportunities. Don't allow the officiating to be the reason you win or lose a football game. Make your own way. Make your own plays. You didn't make enough plays in this game. You squandered opportunities. You lose this football game 26-23. For the second year in a row, the Saints lose in the playoffs, in the postseason, in heartbreaking fashion. Meanwhile, you go to the Rams. I thought they hung in there. They fought this game. They fought in this game like a championship boxer, and a guy that has been in championship situations before. Didn't start out the best. They lost the first couple of rounds, but in the middle rounds, they started to come on. They were on the ropes late, but they battled back. And in the championship rounds, when it was on the line, the Rams played their best brand of football in this game. In the fourth quarter, down in this game, they made all of the plays. In the overtime, they made the biggest play of the game. Their kicker was clutch. I thought he was going to miss the first field goal. That thing looked like it had that nice little fade to the outside. And as Troy Aikman said, it had that draw back inside. And boy, was that a scary field goal or what. But it went in, and then he got a chance from 57 yards, and he banged it home. And the Rams are going on to the Super Bowl. No Gurley in this game, pretty much. No C.J. Anderson. No really help from the run game. The defense, I thought, was tremendous in this game. For the second straight week, a Rams defense that was much maligned throughout the regular season, giving up big plays. And I told you, a lot of the big plays they gave up in the passing game was due to Aqib Talib being out. They've been much better since he's come back into the lineup in terms of giving up big plays down the field. They did give up a big play to Ted Ginn in this game, but nonetheless, they've been so much better against the run. They were getting gashed on the ground throughout the course of the season. They weren't having it in the postseason. Shut down Ezekiel Elliott in the Cowboys rushing attack. Shut down the Saints rushing attack in this game. And they made enough plays defensively to get the job done. I thought it was a tremendous defensive effort by this Rams group. And John Johnson with the biggest play of the game. Wow, what a win on the road. My guy, Sean McVay, taking the Rams to the Super Bowl. Couldn't be happier for Sean McVay and this Rams football team. Now we await the winner of the AFC Championship game, Patriots and Chiefs. That should be a fantastic game. But I'm 0 for 1. Thought the Saints were going to win this game. They had every opportunity to win this football game, and they just simply couldn't get it done. They refused to take advantage of opportunities. And when big-time situations showed up, I thought they shrunk in this game. I thought that the play calling wasn't the best that I've seen from Sean Payton. I thought some of the execution wasn't very good from Breeze and company. I thought this was one of the Saints' lesser offensive performances, and you got to give some credit to the Rams' defense for some of that as well. Nonetheless, let's get to the comment section quickly. We've got, the AFC Championship game should be starting now, so I'll probably take about 5 minutes to answer some comments, and then we'll get out of here. Colts fan says, were the Saints robbed? I don't believe they were robbed. Again, they had opportunities to make plays. Yeah, they got to make that call. The officials have to make that call, but don't allow the officials to be in a position to you see how they've been calling the playoffs, all right? And again, that's no excuse for what they didn't do there. They got to throw the flag, but bottom line is, don't allow the officials to control the outcome of a game. They had chances. Derek B says, I can't believe Peyton threw the ball on first down with less than 2 minutes. I talked about that, Derek B. Again, I thought this was one of Sean Payton's worst games. I thought he had a rough day calling plays. I thought he allowed the Rams to have him off balance all day. I didn't think they ran it enough in this football game. He said, there's being aggressive and then there's just being stupid. They didn't deserve it after that. I agree with most of what you just said there. Pepe, the YouTuber, says, yikes, Saints got hit with the ref ball. Bad. Extreme Archery USA says, I wish Redskins kept McVay. Kevin says, let's go. Better pick for the Packers. Go, Pack, go. He says, I got Munson says, bottom line, Rams had their chance after the BS in the fourth quarter. Marvelous Track says, Roby Coleman still needs his ass whooped for almost costing us the game. Horns up. That should have been PI, but nonetheless, they get away and get out of the dome and escape with a win and a ticket to Super Bowl 53. Kevin says, so much for that Rams fan that wanted to change the refs, laughing my ass off. You're right. Isn't that ironic that the refs ultimately helped his team get into the Super Bowl? And that's funny, right? That is ironic, Kevin. I swear it is. Buffalo Pregame says, I'm sorry, but I'm glad the refs didn't give the Saints a trip to the Super Bowl. That being said, contact was clearly before the ball got there. Colts fan says, Goff is a baller. He is. Goff played his ass off in this football game. Derek B says, Gurley is still not right. CJ Papa Boy Anderson, Pay Your Boy Anderson to the rescue with some tough yards. Double A says, I couldn't be happier with this game. Saints are done, and it was a hell of a game. Rams built a super team, and it worked. Can't believe it worked in the National Football League. I talked about this before the season started, how the Rams were pushing their chips into the center of the table, but the beauty is they weren't mortgaging their future to do it. There are a lot of expiring contracts, that of Aqib Talib, that of Marcus Peters, that of Ndamukong Suh. A lot of money coming off the books. They're free to do whatever the hell they want next year. They're in a great position, but yet they pushed their chips all into the middle of the table this year. It was a beautiful strategy. They didn't have a first-round pick, and look where they are right now. Buffalo Pregame says, I want to believe it wasn't PI at the end of the game because someone is running in a straight direction. Two players collided generally isn't called. That was PI, man. That was PI every day of the week, any way you slice it. Derek B says, I don't want to hear about that defensive PI. Sean Payton didn't deserve to get bailed out after his stupidity. I don't want to hear about it either because they had their opportunities, as I outlined earlier in this football game. Ali Side says, if I was a ref, I would leave the stadium as soon as possible. Can we hear your opinion on that last play before overtime? Marvelous Track says, did Sean McVay show lack of trust in the offense when he chose? No, I thought that was the right play. I talked about that already. I thought that was the right move because in that situation, you don't want to put your team in a situation where they could lose the game without getting the football back. In that situation, they could have lost the game without getting the football back, but at least it would have been tied. At least it would have been because your defense didn't get a stop. In another situation, if he goes for it and they don't score, if the Saints get two first downs, and I think the Rams only had one timeout, maybe two at the time. Either way, you don't get that football back. Now you're second-guessing yourself the rest of the offseason saying, did I make the right decision? Either way, you're going to be second-guessing yourself. I thought it was the right decision. You have to tie the game there. You have to give yourself a fighting chance. You go for it and you don't get it, you've taken the football out of your team's hands, essentially. I like the decision to kick the field goal there. Buffalo Pregame says, I'm so mad at myself. I saw all of the fourth quarter, but I kept falling asleep during the third quarter. Makes me so mad. Great game, great ending. I was on my feet. Ali Side says, man, we've been making fun of the Rams a couple of years ago. Now they're in the Super Bowl. I'm salty as F. FBG Tony says, told fools the Rams were going to get their revenge. Game was litty. Great game played by both teams. The offense advances. Jarrett played well, and the pass rush was huge. Indeed, it was. Vincent Coe says, how good is Corey Littleton? I saw him get nominated to the Pro Bowl. He was having a long night tackling Kamara. Man, Corey Littleton is good. I like him a lot. He had a nice tackle for loss in this game. He's undersized, but he's so fast. He's very fast. Chuck Sharp says, Rams in the Super Bowl. Wow, guaranteed no one could have pictured this 2 years ago. And I talked about that at the top of the show, which is amazing. Buffalo Pregame says, my Super Bowl picks were the Patriots and Rams. I hope I'm wrong on the former. We'll see what happens. You might be right, man. Sergeant Spooner says, as a Falcons fan, I'm happy the Saints don't have a chance to win a ring in our house. We'd never lived that down, but the Saints got holes. That no PI call was ridiculous. Buffalo Pregame says a 57-yard field goal is ballsy. If they miss that, the Saints win for sure. Not with the way the Rams defensively have been playing and Saints were playing offensively. No guarantees there. The way the Saints were playing defensively and the Rams, conversely, on offense, they might have been able to bail themselves out. But, yes, that is a ballsy call. But when you got a kicker like Young Jeezy, who you trust in, that you expect him to go out there and bang it home in an environment that's controlled. You don't have to worry about the wind or any of that nonsense. The elements are all blocked off because you're inside of a dome. I like my chances with my kicker, and you saw why. Buffalo Pregame says, NFL films will always show Jimmy Johnson on the sidelines whenever the Rams go to the Super Bowl. Buffalo Pregame says, Go Chiefs, and I hope Andy Reid gets the credit he deserves. Derek B says, McVay tried to outthink himself too with rushing to the goal line and forcing their own fumble not being ready. Yeah, they were doing a little bit too much there. I wasn't a huge fan of them doing that. I mean, it's not like you were trying to avoid a challenge on a play that you weren't sure about. No need to get up there. Take your time. The thing about what you want to do inside the 5 is you want to execute. It's not about rushing or catching a team off guard. It's great if you do it, because if they're discombobulated, you're probably going to score easily, but it's not about that, especially this time of the year. It's about execution. You want everybody on the same page, and that was a lack of execution there. But Redskins Nation says, just can't believe the Redskins had McVay in their building and wouldn't promote him to head coach. Now he's turned the Rams organization around and taking the Rams to the Super Bowl. Shaking my head. MC89 says, I love how the Saints lost, LOL. Double A says, I guess no one's beating golf this postseason. I really don't think anyone's beating golf in the Super Bowl, LOL. Beating golf. Sounds so dirty. I can't. K. Michelle says, props out to Wade Phillips. The defense made an adjustment in the second half to swing right to Kamara was almost non-existent. Yeah, and you saw Sue take a shot at him and light him up. That was the plan. They almost took a page out of the Patriots book, and I think they might have made mention of it on the telecast when the Patriots did it to Marshall Faulk some years ago. And it's amazing. It's funny that we say that. We could have a rematch of Brady's first Super Bowl win when he was able to take down the greatest show on turf for his first win back in 2001, I believe it was. So it's amazing. We could come full circle, man. And this is the perfect way to end it. The Q-Bone, who's a massive Rams fan, says, go Rams, never thought they would do it. Ref should have called pass interference. I know he's ecstatic. He says, ah! He's so ecstatic, and good for him, man. He suffered through a lot as a Rams fan, and to see where they've come from where they were, it's amazing. And so we're going to stop it here because the AFC Championship game is underway, and I don't want to hold you guys up. I know you guys are probably watching it anyway, so I'll go ahead and take my seat in front of the television and watch that as well. You know where to find me when that game meets its conclusion. But unbelievable that the Saints don't get the call, don't take advantage of opportunities. They had every opportunity to win. Miss me with the missed call nonsense and chicanery. Yes, it was a missed call. Yes, that did impact the outcome of the game, but you could have controlled the outcome of the game had you taken advantage of opportunities and executed better. This was a poorly played game on the field by the Saints offense, but I thought it was an even more poorer game called by Sean McVay, or excuse me, by head coach Sean Payton. And so I don't feel bad for the Saints in this game. You had opportunities, you didn't get it done. And so, hey, Rams, celebrate! You're going to Super Bowl 53 with a road victory versus the New Orleans Saints. I didn't think it could be done. I didn't think anybody could come into the Dome and get it done, but the Rams do exactly that, and they're off to Atlanta for a chance to play for a Lombardi. Wow. 26-23 overtime thriller for the Rams as they advance to Super Bowl 53. For the second year in a row, the Saints have their hearts broken in the postseason, and they'll have a lot to think about in the upcoming offseason. I'm your man, Louis T, signing off. Remember, if you haven't checked out the podcast, what are you waiting on? Check out the Louis T Network podcast. Episode 35 is up and available, so check that out. Make sure you come back and check me at the conclusion of Chiefs and Patriots, as we'll break that game down. Take your comments live on the air as well on the Overtime series. And also remember, if it's not your man T, it's not the best NFL coverage. It could be. I'll be back a little bit later on to break down the AFC nightcap, and we'll talk about and get an upcoming sneak peek and preview of Super Bowl 53. And we'll talk about what happened to lead up to that game and to get us in a position where we know the two participants. And we'll talk about everything and then some a little bit later on. I'm your man, Louis T, signing off. I'll see you later. Enjoy the game. You know I will. And then we'll come back and we'll break it all down. Have a good one.
Louis T Network.